Yeah, we wanted to introduce our new public relations specialist, Mr. Luke Seals, and also as a way to introduce him, we're going to demonstrate his skills by taking an annual update photo of our Board of Education. So he's going to come up now and take our annual update photo that we're all going to come in front of the stage and take right now.
We might have to do it. We might have to do it after because the camera is streaming.
For the live stream?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do it at the end.
All right, sounds good. Sorry.
Listen,
All good,
first
Luke,
thing
thank
you
you.
do is contradict the boss. That's a good idea.
And welcome, Luke. Good to see you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to communication and the board reports.
So as far as the superintendent's report, we took a different approach, is sending everything ahead of time with just a full narrative of what transpired between the last board meeting and now. Is there anything that anybody would like to pull out to discuss or have any further questions about? The big gist of this is the back to school has gone really well. Lots of really good feedback from administration and staff about all of our professional development and giving them the opportunity to be professionals and be treated as such. Really strong community partnerships with our Goose Chase and really strong opportunities for us to engage in that professional learning that we want to set the foundation for us to be able to welcome kids back into the building. Those first couple days of the school always are going to be hectic and chaotic, but I think that everybody responded really well to the expectation that we want to have a good learning environment for our kids and rose to the occasion and set up a good, conducive environment through procedures and expectations and everything that we would want. So the beginning of the year has gone really well. And outside of that, there's not really a ton of things to talk from just a public standpoint. Outside of, I would recognize our, Luke's very first task on the job was to film our Anchored and Listening session. We didn't get the live stream set up for that, but he did film the whole thing and is going to post it on the website here shortly for people to be able to see the answers that we all provided as an administrative team to the awesome questions that were submitted. We had 51 questions submitted and 26 people attended the event. We were able to answer questions about all aspects of the district, everything from finances to academics to ACT prep, et cetera, et cetera. So really well attended event, a good event for us to try to rebuild that relationship with the community that we hope to have additional opportunities for going forward.
Real quick, I had one comment to ask. Along the superintendent report that you've submitted to the board, what are your expectations for the next coming month? What's your next go-to or point of interest and focus for the next coming months as it starts with the school year?
That is a great question. As August to September goes, it's going to be getting into the classrooms and getting a better understanding of that baseline of where we're at academically, learning the kids, setting forth some of those cultural initiatives that we hope to attain. I've done a good job so far of, on Friday I got into every classroom in the elementary school, and I'm hoping to get into the rest of the classrooms of the middle school and high school starting tomorrow. So really understanding where our kids are at, having personalized conversations with our teachers during their PLCs, and starting to figure out academically what are the steps that we're going to have to take in order to grow.
Also, didn't you also bring in, I think it was for my first day of school, with the open school bash, they had the trucks out there, food trucks out there for the staff and everything, the students to enjoy. How did you go about communicating with them, may I ask?
That's where we have the wonderful Frisk, Natasha Johnson, that is our kind of community liaison. She has a lot of those connections that she is able to lean into to reach out and see if they want to come and work with us for different events. But definitely leaning into our established community partners versus trying to reinvent the wheel per se.
Thank you.
Thank you, and moving on to the financial report.
their staff have not, they've just started their contracts in August, so through the month of July, we're very lightly staffed. And, you know, we've talked a lot about that. That's where the majority of our money goes, so when we have less people working, we inherently spend less. So July is not a great indicator month as far as like, hey, everything's, you know, there's not a great budget benchmark in July. A lot of the things that hit July, they're annual, like we paid our property tax, things like that that we really couldn't make any change to. But if you look, and I tried to do this a little bit different because I feel like I'm flipping back and forth between these slides. So I put our expenditures and our revenues on here, and then the difference. So this month looks really good. You know, we brought in $494,000 more than we spent in the general fund. You know, really across the board, we spent less than we brought in. That's what we want to see. That is not an incredibly difficult thing to do in July, though. So I just want to be transparent about that. July is an easy month for everything to look good, but I do feel like we're on the right track. I've ran some projections into the future, talked with KDE. I feel like the staffing changes and all of that are gonna do what we intended. So we'll talk more about that, especially as we get into August, well, we're in August. I'm kind of a month in the past right now. It's also 2026 for me, so I don't even know. But, you know, the August report will start to show kind of what things are really gonna look like, and especially September when we have a full month. That'll have a full month of everybody's pay. That's when we'll also be looking at, you know, next month we'll be talking about the working budget. So that'll be the main topic from my standpoint next month is to roll. Right now we're on the tentative budget. We'll be rolling that over into the working budget. And that is the one that goes to the Kentucky Board of Education for approval. And that's the one that was denied last year that got us all, kind of got the whole thing started. So, you know, stay tuned for that. Food service, again, you know, they brought in $1,000 and spent $930. Most of their staff are paid out for summer. They're not serving meals. July was still a little too early for them to order anything, so just not a whole lot of movement. So the big thing that I'm going to talk about tonight is property taxes. That's really my main topic tonight. So if you look at our current tax rates, our real estate property tax rate is 84.5, which means 84.5 cents per $100 of valuation. Our tangible property is 87.8, and we don't have a whole lot of tangible property because that doesn't count motor vehicles. So it is movable personal property that's not a motor vehicle, and we also don't tax watercraft. So we're talking about construction equipment, things like that. And then of course we do have a motor vehicle rate, and that's been at 59.1. For the end of 2025, and the thing that's omitted on this, I'm not showing what delinquent property taxes were because they were based on some other year's rates. It's just somebody that, hey, they hadn't paid their taxes from 2, 3, 4 years ago, and they what we did last year and the year before. We did the 4% increase. And the thing that's misunderstood about that is it's not a 4% increase in the actual tax rate. It could actually, like last year when we did the 4% increase, it was actually a lower effective tax rate. It just meant it brought in 4% more revenue from all sources combined than the year prior. And that, you know, that takes into account property, motor vehicle, all of that. What we actually collected. There's, if you look in your board packet, there's like 4 pages of how that's all calculated. KDE does the heavy lift for us on that, so that's wonderful for us because it's very involved. There's also a subsection 1 rate listed in there, and it's tied to a statute, but more or less, that is really like the maximum rate that you can adopt. There's a bunch of tax code kind of stuff in there, but I think our subsection 1 this year is like 99.7, and if I understand the state law, for a city our size, I think the maximum there is 99.9, so I don't know, there's somewhere that they figure that difference, but it is a massively increased tax rate. And then you can of course do another rate, like any other rate. You know, you can lower, you can raise. The thing is, if you adopt a rate that produces more than 4% in revenue increase, and that could even be that the district was reevaluated, keeping the same tax rate would give us 6% more revenue. All of a sudden, that tax rate is subject to recall. And what that looks like, so if you want to, if you adopt any tax rate above the 4%, you do have to advertise and hold a public hearing. And then after that, it is recallable by a petition of 10% of the number of people living in the district who voted in the last presidential election. So a small number of people, and then that recalls back to the compensating rate. So it's kind of it's an all or nothing on that. You either stay where you were, or, you know, if it passes, you don't. So if you look, this is the sheet from KDE. So our compensating rate for general property tax would be 83.2 cents per $100. Our subsection 1 is 99.7, and the 4% increase is 86.5. And then on personal property, it's a little bit higher. 87.8 for compensating, 99.7 for subsection 1, and 87.8 for the 4% increase. Now, there is also a 0.2 cent addition onto these that you can add for exonerations. So like the 4% rate at 86.5 can actually become 86.7 for prior year exonerations, and that would be things like the homestead exemption. And there are numbers in these tax reports too for how many, like the total amount of exonerations within the district. So we do qualify to do that as well. And that's going to be my recommendation. So my recommendation is the 4% increase with that 0.2 cent exoneration. So what that produces, it's about $111,000 total for the year. And that is not touching motor vehicle tax because of the way that it all figures together. If you adjust the motor vehicle tax, you have to proportionately lower the property tax. So for people in the district, what this looks like is the average home value right now in our district is about $246,000. So on a $250,000 even talking with KDE, it's kind of been one of those, hey, we don't know, we haven't really dealt with that in a long time. It's certainly something I would be interested in exploring. And that's how I ended up in this school district, actually. Suncrest Meadows, we bought a new home there, my parents did, and I think you were part of that. We got redistricted or initially districted here, and that's how we ended up going to school here. So I definitely see value in that. I don't know of any specific areas right now that are building that would connect without expanding a little further, but certainly something I'd be interested in.
Thanks a bunch, and I think probably at a future meeting, we should walk through the steps in the process of what it would take to do something like that, just so that we're clearer on exactly what we would need to do and what's actually possible.
Yeah.
On Tom's suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be interested in learning more about the process myself, because I do think that's the only way we can truly, we're kind of landlocked. We're not in the same situation as the counties where we have all this vacant land and like a new subdivision just appears. We would have to go out and petition, and we just don't. We don't have some big wonderful place in the middle of our district that is just waiting for a developer. So I certainly look into that.
Great, thank you.
I appreciate you converting the increase to concrete examples, what it means for house, average house, and amount of increase. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the attendance and enrollment report.
I'm just gonna give this to Nathan now.
I'll take it.
All right, I didn't
Put anything for you guys in your board packet because so early in the year, changes. Give a good example was the first day of school, we had over 900 kids here, 950, 970, something like that. Today we're sitting at 985, so I think we pretty well stabilized our numbers, which is actually significantly more than last year. So we're very happy with that. We probably will have a straggler leave and come both ways. Just depends on how somebody feels like the school is treating them one way or the other. But that's probably a safe bet right there, 985. And the percentage of attendance for the last 4 days is 96%. I would be overjoyed if we stayed there. Mr. Hackett, you asked Dr. Neves what one of our big focuses is going to be in the next month, and attendance is going to be huge for us. We have a report due in October where if we can demonstrate a bunch of growth in enrollment and attendance, then we can get more money earlier. So we're gonna make that a big push going forward. That's where we are right now. But I'll have regular numbers for you. Just 4 days was not enough to really give you guys much before then.
Refresh my memory, what is the capacity of Berea Independent?
I think the capacity physically, based on the formula that they give us, is 1,200 or so, but we cannot fit that many. I would say physical capacity, I wouldn't put it much over 1,100 at most. And even then, we'd be packed in pretty tight.
So we're pretty well close to that 1,100 then, 985.
Yeah, I'll be real happy if we get over 1,000, back to pre-COVID numbers. That'd be great. Yeah.
I think we used to be around 1,050.
Yep.
That's what I've got wrote down here. 1,050.
No, I hear you
district or other districts who have said they're moving to Lincoln County, and then September 8th will roll around and they'll be like, oh no, I kind of wanted to stay in my regular school. So they've been enrolled all that time somewhere else, and it won't count against their attendance. So I see that coming, probably.
Also, if we know more people available, we'd have them shoot you an email on the process of getting more kids enrolled, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've got we use that online registration system, and we got plenty of new enrollments that way, and it's worked out real well to sync with Infinite Campus and stuff, and save a lot of data entry.
How well did that rollout go for the online registration?
Well, it's hard to tell. I've got to go through and look and see what our numbers are for the different schools for participation. It just depends. I haven't had a chance to go through those yet.
Okay. I'm glad you're thinking about optimism towards more kids coming in from Lincoln County who, sorry they're starting late.
Hey, I've been pleasantly surprised since this summer. I thought we were going to take a little bit of a hit, but we've really bounced back. So I was really happy for that.
Would you say that's a testament to the community pouring into the kids' future here in Berea?
Sure.
Thank you for your dedication and continuation.
Any other questions?
Well, that's you, Daniel. Technology report.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm back again for a 5th year in a row. You must like me. So, let's see here. Is it looking up there pretty good?
Looks good.
Awesome. Well, this is a presentation I have to do every year. I love doing it. It's about data breach, and it covers pretty much what is defined as a data breach, and then as well as what our district is to do in the event of a data breach of any of our systems. And I've got some extra stuff at the end there, just to be safe. So, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna read these. So, what is a data breach? Well, from KRS 61.931 through 61.934, it is the unauthorized acquisition, distribution, disclosure, destruction, manipulation, or release of unencrypted or unredacted records or data that compromises or the agency or non-affiliated third party reasonably believes may compromise the security, confidentiality, or integrity of personal information and results in the likelihood of harm to one or more individuals. And there's a second definition. Or the unauthorized acquisition, distribution, disclosure, destruction, manipulation, or release of encrypted records or data containing personal information along with the confidential process or key to unencrypt the records or data that compromises or the agency or non-affiliated third party reasonably believes may compromise the security, confidentiality, or integrity of personal information and results in the likelihood of harm of one or more individuals. That's
Real
pretty
quick,
much it.
The board would like to request that you take at least a 1-foot step away from the edge.
Oh, yeah.
So that we can actually focus on this and not wonder about whether or not we're gonna call the ambulance here this evening.
Yeah, we don't want that. Okay, let me turn this a little bit this way then. Okay. 1 foot, okay. All right, so that's what a data breach is. It's pretty much somebody getting into something they're not supposed to. All right, this is our action plan. It's kind of, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of sad because this is what state mandates that we do. And data is just kind of one of this, and it's part of the new technology that's been around. It's really easy to get into now, and there's not much we can do once a data breach happens. You can only prevent a data breach from happening to the best of your abilities, and that's what we try to do here. Pretty much we have to contact any vendors involved with a data breach. We use our Google Workspace platforms, communicate to students, especially their parents, if any student data was leaked. Then we contact KDE's breach line, which is their notification line within 72 hours of the incident. And they're gonna tell us to probably make a police report, contact our local authorities, and then with that we have to sit and wait for guidance. They will do an investigation and see what the extent of the breach is, and they'll kind of give us a follow-up plan to pretty much communicate with all the individuals affected. So unfortunately, when a breach does occur, all we can do is run and tell. We can't really go and fish that data back. So it's very crucial, important that we keep data safe. So here's some things that we do that are very base level understanding. I won't go too deep into exactly how they operate. That we do here at Berea to keep data safe. So first off, we've got our Google Workspace notifications that our staff members and anyone affiliated with the district with a district email, those are built into Google's email. It's a catch-all for pretty much any sort of bogus email coming from other districts. It flags anything from outside of our organization as potentially malignant, and it does a pretty good job, puts a big ugly yellow banner. We've got this thing called Fish ID, which is pretty cool. It just alerts you automatically with a banner that if you click the link, if it's a potential phishing link, which is really great because what they'll do nowadays is that they'll spoof a very legitimate looking site and lead you away and make you put in your personal credentials or your staff credentials. Let's see here. Yes, so we switched over to GoGuardian's web filter this year, which is pretty cool. It's state of the art. It was better than Lightspeed, which is what we've had for the last couple of years. This gives us a lot more flexibility in terms of what we can and can't allow on our network. And it gives us a much more, I would say, like modular approach as to what can be controlled, to what our kids see on their devices. Even at home on not our network, this is protecting kids with their Chromebooks at home, which is really, I think is really cool. So yeah, and this thing is running 24/7. Trust me, the kids come up to me all the time and they say, oh, I almost got away with it. It's like they're proud of trying to circumvent the filters, and I'm like, yeah, good luck, man. Like it's tough. So, alrighty. External devices are, let's see here, yes, they're also intercepted, so anything that's not district owned, if it's on our network, it's still being filtered at the state level through GoGuardian's DNS filters. So what they've done is that they've routed that traffic, so if you connect to here on your personal phone on the guest network, that traffic is routed through a DNS all the way up the state and then filtered there by GoGuardian services. It's pretty cool. And so MFA, so all our administrative accounts required to have MFA. Anything that has admin level rights. Just because you're an administrator doesn't mean you have admin level rights in certain applications. So some of you are looking at me like, well, I don't do that. So trust me, the accounts that need it have it for sure. And that's something that we started requiring a couple of years ago with Nathan. That was one of the biggest things. And it gets us ready to move to this large curated experience project that's coming up next April for us, which is gonna make a district have an official single sign-on solution for everybody. So that'll be pretty cool. Our staff are geo-locked if they don't have our MFA enabled. So if they take their laptop and they don't have MFA enabled on their account, it won't even let them connect to if they go to a conference, to hotel Wi-Fi's, because they don't want, they'll specifically geo-lock themselves out. It's pretty cool. I get a call from a bunch of angry teachers like, my laptop, it's not working. And it's just like, well, you should have enabled MFA. So, all right. Yes, so this is cool. This is new this year. We have an on-site Linux hardened repository by Veeam. So we have a physical infrastructure here that runs, in a physical location. And because of that, we are aware that ransomware is a threat to districts, especially school districts and hospitals, pretty much anything that has a lot of information. They want to get their hands on it, lock it down, and put it behind a price wall. And I'm gonna be real, I don't think we have the money to pay ransoms right now. So, with that in mind, our repository is on premise and it backs up every hour. It self-tests for corruption, as well as it's fully isolated on the network and on the firewall. So there's no communication from anything on our network besides the specific Veeam data mover that deposits that backup on there. And our recovery time, if we were to be, for example, ransomware, and we had to flash all of our physical infrastructure, it would be about a day of downtime because of that physical on-site repository before we got everything back up. But A day down is better than $1 million out of money, so that's what I say. And then if that's not good enough, because I just love to plan for the future, I also have a Wasabi Cloud Storage offsite backup that is in the cloud, and that it uses a 2-token authentication key. I have the key, and then another very trusted individual has the secondary key, and you can't access or modify these backups without both of the keys present when accessing these. And the person who actually set all of this up for me, he's the one that has the secondary key. So it's always great to keep, you know, that ace in the hole, because this right here, if we were to get ransomware and then the board office happened to be, you know, there was a flooding accident and everything goes down, including my hardened repository. Well, within 3 days and some new equipment, we have the district back up. So that's another way to back up. So, and yeah, it's really cool, and it's probably state of the art, and we're probably one of the only school districts that have one. Because I think I begged and begged and begged, and Nathan finally let me have it. So yeah, but that's about it. Yeah. Any questions?
With the Wasabi account that we have for the cloud account, does it covers every bit of district information, all backed up from the student to the student level?
So these backups that I mentioned are only for our internal infrastructure. So these are like servers that run at our district office, and those house things like various function servers that do things in the background. Think like our printers, our network controllers, that kind of stuff. Student data is all hosted in Infinite Campus, and that is offsite already in a cloud on its own. So a lot of the student data breaches happen when people's staff accounts are compromised and they get access to those offsite data like cloud solutions like Infinite Campus or iReady. Like you could name all kinds of things that we use here that actually don't live in the school. We just use the internet to access them. But I think that's a good question. So yeah, student data is offsite. So
Also, for a home practice, how often would you say someone should change their password or account information for accessing the school network, its schedules?
okay, so for like a personal account, I'm gonna be real. You should be changing that at least every 6 months. You know, but I always like to say that in terms of setting up a password, the length is better than the randomness. Computers take far longer to crack a password if it's longer than if it's just a bunch of random characters. That's just a proven thing. That's why the state requires our staff members to have a 15-character limit minimum password for their staff accounts, and it's on a 6-month repository kick. So every 6 months they get asked to reset that password. And trust me, they do get mad and call me and say, "Why do I gotta make another 15-character password?" So yeah, but you know, it's for the safety, and it's a necessary. So yeah, I think that standard's pretty good. So
Thank you. Appreciate your dedication to not only district but the children as well.
Thanks a bunch, and we will move on to the school reports. Ryan, were you gonna handle the elementary tonight, or?
I can do that. Mr. Pointer's son is getting his first varsity minutes in soccer, so he is attending that game. It looks like he is giving an update on the site-based council and just their what they've gone through. He's utilizing curriculum from iReady and Haggerty, so that's a continuation. He's talked about his PLC structure, talked about the staff giving them recognition for the Wild for Learning theme that they've done through. Shout out to Craig Dollins, as he has worked endlessly on our class rosters over the summer. It's been no small task, as some of our classes are rather large. Recognize students throughout the year to report monthly on our shout outs to all our Pirates. Berea College has shown growing interest in volunteering in our school. We're working on establishing these needs for our school at this time at our next administrative meeting, and then all financial accounts at the school level are in good standing.
I had one question. If someone at the elementary knows about whether they're going to continue was it the club they had for elementary as of last year, where they had, you know, rotation every so many Fridays.
Club day?
Clubs.
You know?
We are thinking of doing club. We are going Good evening. So on behalf of middle and high school, we got off to an excellent start. I have never been happier than to enroll students every single day. So happy to hear that our enrollment is coming up. I'm just gonna touch base on some very basic things. You have the board report. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. But we did begin with just setting expectations for our students. We have had all of our class meetings, individual meetings. We finalized our last meeting today with 7th grade meeting, just talking through that, streamlining processes and making sure that everyone's just on the same page. Also, as you know, we now have a combined site-based council, and we have had 2 excellent meetings, with today being the 2nd. So we're getting things done and focusing heavily on instruction and really just working to support our students, faculty, and staff with that. We will have some resources and important dates and some links that will be on the parent tab of the website. Mr. Montoya will be helping and working with me on that to get those up right away. So for any information about dates that are happening for middle school and high school, we'll have those under the parent link. Also, we have some new faces with our faculty, staff, and students. So if you see a new face, just give them a smile and welcome them to the building. Also, on the board report, we talked a little bit about student recognition, but before that, we do have a hefty site-based group. I would like to welcome them. One of our site-based members is here tonight, Mr. Roger Trussell, representing high school, and he is always on board with our vision and always willing to help with anything. We have our middle school members, Ms. Julie Guthrie, Ms. Jennifer Cornett Hodson, Ms. Robin Moreland, and Mr. Benjamin Wilson. Our high school members, Mr. Joseph Cottle, Ms. Cinda Holland, also Ms. Robin Moreland, Heather Schill, and Mr. Roger Trussell. So we appreciate all the work that they're doing on the site-based council. We had several things before school began with our 6th grade transition camp. We had a very good turnout with that. Also with our freshman orientation, our high school meetings and schedule pickup, back to school bash, and professional learning and development. We've had a lot of activities going on, and those were all to benefit our students. Again, if you see the new faces, just give them a hello. We have a couple very important dates. Monday, we have senior portraits beginning at 9 a.m. right here on the theater stage. Also, we have our Korean club that is beginning next Monday, and they will come into the building and be serving our students. We will be having Club Rush at the high school level. Middle school will also be having clubs. We'll send more information on that, so just keep an eye out for that. Just want to talk real quickly. I'm not going to name names, but we did have some recognitions for this summer through Gatton Academy. One of our students, Miss Ainsley Woodward, she is attending Gatton Academy. We had Governor Scholars, and we actually had the highest number of high school students for the Central Kentucky Youth Salute this year. Highest number of 19 students, so we're really excited about that. We're just focusing on meeting those deadlines. We're getting all of our trainings completed. Our teachers are focused, they're working, and I think everyone is on board with the vision. We're excited for the new year. Any questions?
Yes. We also talked about the pathways and the continuation of those. When do they start doing the pathways for the fire safety? Are they already started for day 1?
They have begun. So we have 5 state-approved pathways at the high school level. Fire safety has begun, and so students are actually in classes and working toward that certification status. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We now have time for audience comments.
My name's Ashley Hammond. I'm a parent of a 3rd grader and elementary parent rep for SBDM. I have how are we going to get library? There's 2 hours a day for them. How are, the elementary kids, that's not enough time to check out books and have a lesson. I just would like more information on that, more of a schedule, especially now that school is started. But I do want to say the communication has greatly improved. It's been great starting school, and Dr. Neves, I've seen you around, which is wonderful, on the first day of school and in the cafeteria. So I do want to shout out the important dates being emailed by Mr. Pointer was really great too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Sarah Hall, mother of a 3rd and 5th grader. I've met all of you except Dr. Neves, so nice to meet you. And I guess I just wanted to mention some things that I ran into trying to become a volunteer here recently, right? So last week I tried to sort of go through the process. Appreciated the email that went out that said the links are on the website, here they are. But had to send 2 different emails to Marilyn Benton actually during the process to be able to get through things, because there's the link on the website that says that it's for the can check goes to a Google Doc that has directions that are from 2020, so a lot of the screenshots are outdated, like things don't look the same. It also lists Tony Tompkins as the email for the background checks to be sent to, and it does say that that email is still in the system, so I'm worried that some parents may have actually done this, paid the $10 for the background check, and it's going to an email address. So I'm a little worried about that. I wonder if there's any way for us to find out if that has happened. And so those are kind of the main issues, is there's no actual link to what website you go to get the can check filled out, and then the document is just outdated and has some old information. So it would be great if that could get updated, and then after I did that, once I got through the 2 emails with Marilyn and she said, this is what you need to do, I did get the email back very quickly that said, you're approved to volunteer, from her, and I said, great. Then now I'm at this, like, I don't know how to actually volunteer. Do I just show up, sign it? Actually, Ashley has told me I can do that, say I'm doing cafeteria duty, so that's what I'm gonna do this week. But it's just unclear, like, do I work through Marilyn? Is she coordinating volunteers? Do I talk to Mr. Pointer? Do I talk to teachers directly? What am I supposed to do? So that's just a little bit about my experience, and some clarity on that I think would be helpful for everybody that wants to volunteer. I'm a little worried that we may have already lost some folks in some people are not gonna send 2 emails during the process to figure out where to put kids or whatever. So that's all. Thank you all. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to finding out about the cafeteria duty and some kind of stop sign noise situation. Anyway, I'll find out about that this week. So thanks.
Thanks for the systems testing. Appreciate it. Seeing no one else, we will close the audience comment and move on to the adoption of the agenda.
I motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And we have a number of consent items here this evening. I won't read through them all. You want me to read through them all? Okay, here we go. First one is the minutes. We're being asked to approve the minutes from the last meeting. We also have the financial reports from the elementary, middle, and high school, including the food service options. We will approve the superintendent's professional growth plan, which I believe everyone had a chance to look at. Approve the idea admissions and release of committee chairpersons, all listed out there for folks to take a look at who will be on that committee, and also for the Section 504 chairpersons, another set of folks who will be taking on that duty along with Jennifer Witt. We're going to do a modification to the drug screen consent form, fairly minor, just adding a printed line there for the parent signature, I believe. We have a couple of donations, one for high school girls basketball and another for the Berea Athletics Department overall. There's also Grow Appalachia's summer feeding program, a contract related to maintenance on that. Minor salary revision, just aligning some things that were typographical errors and adding in the new public relations specialist. We also have a new document for naming of school facilities. We did not have a process or procedure for that in the past, and that has been put together for us at this point. And including within that also a request form that people could then process that through. A couple of things for facilities use, one thing for facilities use, the Berea Women's Club wants to use the Concord Gymnasium. We are also doing a building performance service contract renewal, I think mostly related to HVAC and other heating and cooling systems. And then last but not least, came to our attention not too long ago that our facilities plan had almost run out of date. We could either engage in a new process to have a new facilities plan, or we could simply choose to extend the current and ask for an exemption. And given the fact that we don't have any plans to build new facilities at this point or are not expecting exceptional growth in the school, that seems the best case. Anything that anyone would want to pull out on one of those?
So you said the facilities plan is for the current one to be used until further date of growth.
Absolutely.
What do you think? The Honeywell building performance you said was the HVAC and everything.
Yes.
So it's not just the regular mundane, but the HVAC system, electronics components, correct? So is that an update or just a patent, like a subscription?
It was a cost adjustment within the contract that's actually saving us about $20,000. So just the terminology of phrasing of pulling one piece out of the contract.
Any more information about the solar system, what we're doing with it? Is it up and running, half running, third running?
So
That was already on, sorry.
Yeah, so with the solar, I know I had mentioned that it was being limited to half capacity. So I did follow up. Well, actually, Charlie watched the board meeting. He's like, "Wait, you're a few days behind here." So I apologize to him. He had already taken care of it by the time we got to the board meeting. We just hadn't had a chance to talk. But it is now producing at full capacity for the system that is installed. And I actually have a meeting later this week with Charlie and with Performance Services. It's two-part for me, so I'm gonna meet with them. They're gonna do like the final handover, punch out kind of thing to give us full control. They're also going to credit us for the production that was lost for the time between when it was, because they did admit that it was an error in engineering on their part. I got excited about that until they told me how much it was. And it's like $600. So, we talked about it. There are gonna be some follow-up service calls, so that'll at least save us, some of those, like next year when they come to do their annual, that was part of the contract, that'll offset that. And then I am also, the second part of the meeting for me is with the solar engineer to get some further details. He's gonna help me with the technical pieces so that we can move on to the next step of getting the tax credits / rebate and to start selling energy credits. And I misunderstood how that worked exactly. I thought it was like, oh, you produce extra extra energy, you just sell that directly. And it is kind of that. We sell it back to the grid, but there are also certain companies, they have some mix in their portfolio that says, hey, we have to have this percentage renewable. And so to balance their portfolios, if they aren't really producing solar, they'll actually pay people that don't necessarily need the credits a little extra above the energy production rate. I don't think it's huge money, but it is money, and once we get it set up, it's hands off. So once we get all that out of the way, I'll let you all know. I have a feeling we're talking about like a Netflix subscription on that part, but everything counts. And we don't have to touch it. After we set it up, that was an exciting part for me. We set it up, and then we just send you you a quarterly report that says how much money we are gonna deposit into your account. So let's do it.
Thank you.
Also with the solar project, was there a battery setup or does it go straight back to the grid?
It feeds back onto the grid. We don't have any like local storage capacity or no power walls or anything like that.
I was hoping they gave us one video.
We tossed around ideas at a point. Pair it with an electric bus as a backup.
Yeah. I was hoping they give us one for storage because of course
There were some good ideas out there for that. At the moment, they are all very costly, and so we're just gonna sell the extra power to them, and we'll revisit that sometime in the future.
Would that be a good one to look into the future for? So,
Yeah, absolutely.
thank you.
Any further questions or pullouts on the consent items? Oh, Title IX requirements?
Yeah, there's a local Title IX committee that Jerry Bingham and Jennifer Witt would do every year. That's an annual. Yes.
Hearing no further questions?
A motion to approve?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let's move on to the big evening's events. Number one, approval of the 2025-2026 general fund tax levy. In accordance with KRS 160.470, we have proposed a general tax fund levy for the fiscal year. The rates are below the proposed tax rates on real property, 86.7 cents per $100 of assessed value, personal property, 88 cents per 100 of assessed value, and then the compensating rates, real property as 83.2 cents and personal property at 87.8 cents. Nathan, I believe you sort of explained the sort of general parameters of this earlier. Are there further questions about that?
Yes, would it go into effect?
So this would be for like next year tax bills.
Okay. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I motion.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Second item is the approval of the motor vehicle tax for 2025-26. The motor vehicle tax for the previous year was at 59.1 cents per $100, and we're proposing to move that, no, not move it, leave it the same at 59.1 cents. It's the recommendation that we accept that for this year. Any questions?
So moved.
I second.
All those in favor? Aye. Board members, any final comments for this evening?
Yes, I want to thank the community out there for voicing their opinion about the volunteer portion. As someone who volunteers for the community, we also used to have someone to go to for volunteers. Do we have somebody being thought of for that position or taking over that role at the current time?
It's really going to be housed with the principals in the Frisk's office to coordinate planning.
Hearing no further,
Should there mean we need to pay someone, on the level we do, coaches, et cetera, someone to be the volunteer? Let us know.
should it be the case, then we could consider it later.
Yeah, I mean, we could certainly consider that.
Thank you.
All right, anyone want a motion to adjourn?
I motion.
I second.
All those in favor? Aye. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for being here.
And board members, we will take our photo with Mr. Seals now.
Also, girl volleyball team.